he looked pretty good. He's thrilled and ready to go, and I saw him jam it with one hand off that bad foot at practice.
So we look forward, Holly, to seeing him. And a turnover following the opening tap, and the Wildcats will bring it back to, of course, in Lawrence earlier this year. They were blown out, the Wildcats were.
Well, you don't see that kind of a play with Kansas to open the game very much. Taylor's pass was one that was a little bit questionable. See, this is one thing I think Kansas State has to do. They've got to make Kansas play defense. They've got to have good patience looking to get a shot, and then they've got to get good shots.
Jacob Pullen got through, follow up underneath, and they miss on 2 attempts. Samuels could not follow it up.
They've got to be able to take advantage of those good scoring opportunities.
There is the three-point basket by Brady Morningstar, and then he hustles back to the other end of the floor and knocks the ball out of bounds. So it'll be out of bounds. Wildcats basketball, far sideline. I remind those of you who have 3D, you're going to be able to watch our high-definition television, and you'll be able to watch our 2 coaches. Kelly puts it down on the floor and scores.
You know, when you look at Kansas, Brent, and you look at Morningstar and Taylor, they are big kids. They're big kids for perimeter players, strong kids.
Marcus Morris finishes at the other end for the Jayhawks. Coming back inside back there. Jamar Samuels active down low. They seem determined to get something down there tonight.
Well, if they can continue with that, they're going to hurt the Morris twins. But Kansas has got to get some help down there. And one thing K-State has to do is they've been beaten down the floor on 2 possessions here thus far in the ball game, and they've got to do a better job with conversion defense.
Ball goes over to Kansas State on the possession arrow.
I think I've been impressed with the fact that Kansas State has come down and they've taken their time. They've been patient. You know, it's like, okay, we'll be willing to win 65-63.
Indeed. Kelly is fouled. Markieff Morris commits the personal, picks up his first.
Kelly and Samuels definitely have the ability and the size and strength to compete against the Morris twins inside.
Pullen works a screen beautifully to hit the field goal. Terrific help on top by Southwell.
Southwell is a player that hasn't played all that much, and he certainly helped them here in the beginning.
And now Pullen gets it back.
And sets things up on the offensive end. Now, that's something that he hasn't done in the past. They did a great job here.
And Southwell converts, so they trade off, Bob, from the backcourt and build a 3-point lead. Hook misses by Keefe, and back comes Pullen again. Little hesitation, stop and go, and he traveled, but he took the step. John Higgins made the call.
He just took it too far there. He didn't need to go as far as he did there. All right, here's a really good move by Pullen, but it was set up well by Southwell. Kansas looks to reverse the ball. They do a good job of it. They go to Markieff on one side. Then it'll come back to Marcus on the other side.
And Marcus knocks it down.
When they reverse the ball like that, the defense has got to move with the ball so they can help out on the postman.
Samuels misfires outside, and it's Jayhawk basketball.
Kansas is a very good team at bringing the ball down, waiting to see what they've got, set it up, and then run an offense. And they had a great example there of Morningstar reversing the ball and then getting it inside to Morris. Okay, here's a movement down the floor. Morningstar is going to hold it up. Now they're going to reverse the ball and end up looking down. The Morrises look for each other extremely well, and that's why we've got Marcus on the foul line right now.
Johnson and Little, Henriquez for K-State, and Spradlin. So both coaches with double substitutions. Taylor comes over to Bill Self, and Markieff Morris is out. His brother, of course, remains at the free throw line. Here is Spradlin, the freshman for the Wildcats, seeing his first action. Self wanted to talk to his point guard, so he's going to let Johnson operate on the point and pick up Pullen with a little more aggressive defense here.
Backing in beautifully.
Henriquez Roberts. And it'll go over. So a big start for Kansas State.
Well, you know, I think they've done something that we've not seen them do in the past, Brett. They have been really active and looking to go inside with the ball. And their big guys have really responded to it. Roberts is going to get the ball in the post. Kansas State kind of leaves him alone, and he makes a great spin move using the board. But that's like the third or fourth really good opportunity they've had inside.
Kansas sets up some pressure.
Johnson's a very, very good one-on-one defender, and he's in to play Pullen. They'll alternate between Taylor and Johnson a lot to keep as much pressure on Pullen as they can.
Magruder handling the ball for the Wildcats. Samuels rotates out on top. Sloppy entry pass.
You know, that was a good pass. The postman just slipped a little bit on it and going to get the ball.
Lob in deep. Marcus couldn't get the handle, and he turns it over. Johnson hounding Pullen. Pullen takes it baseline, and Johnson fouls it. Kelly returns, and checking in for the Jayhawks, Jeff Withy, the 7-foot reserve center.
Pullen's got to be careful with that. He got out of it with a foul that time, but he was taking the ball where he wasn't going to do anything with it, and he lost it the last time he tried to go in there. They operate so much better with Pullen just handling the ball up on top, go from one side to the other, and look for their big kids inside, Henriquez and Kelly right now. And then Samuels, when he's in, there's a great cut by Pullen.
And fine defensive play by Mario Little, who is off the Jayhawk bench. Watch this replay.
All right, here we're going to get a good look inside. Real good help comes across, and Kansas ends up with the ball. Help defense save the bucket.
Now Little comes up firing. Kelly triple team, throws it up left-handed, and got the foul.
Did a good job right there going to the line.
Well, tomorrow night we've got SEC, Mississippi State, and Kentucky, followed by Big Ten, Michigan State, Ohio State. Ohio State will attempt to get back on the winning track after losing that game in Madison to Wisconsin. And how about the performance by Jordan Taylor of the Badgers? Magnificent. Josh Selby has checked in for the first time. Johnson will sit down.
Now, one of the things that K-State can really work with here is Spradling with the ball. Get the ball in his hands a lot. Let Pullen work to get open. Spradling has very, very good judgment with the basketball.
Morningstar fires the three off the iron, tracks down the miss. Here's Selby kicking to Taylor. Taylor defended on the three. Little cleans up underneath.
Well, that was kind of an unusual shot for Taylor to take. Their shot selection hasn't been all that good so far, Kansas.
Yeah, that was certainly an opportunity hoop underneath.
Oh, and my goodness.
Pullen's going to pull the trigger on that three ball.
That time, Pullen did not put the ball on the floor at all. He came off the screen, he caught it, and shot it. That's where I think he's more effective. He did that so much last year when Clemente was the other guard. And now, when he gets it on the floor, he has a tendency to get in trouble with it.
The Morris twins check back in.
All right, we're going to see Pullen come off the baseline now. A double screen set, and he gets set and hits it. That's the second three that he's hit. But in neither case did he put the ball on the floor prior to the shot.
So we will take a break at the 12:55 mark. Kansas State with a 5-point lead. On 42, coach, of the last 44 games.
When you showed that to me, I thought that was just unbelievable because K-State has had a great basketball tradition and history, but I couldn't imagine anything would be that unbalanced.
And the Jayhawks better watch out. Pullen just drained his second three.
Kansas is going to take a little bit more time now and work inside. They'll get to the free throw line if they do. The thing that Kansas does really well, among other things, when those big guys get the ball, Morris is on the baseline, they leave enough room to drive the baseline. Too many guys get the ball against the baseline, and the only way they can drive is come back to the middle. You've got to be able to go either over or under the defensive man along the baseline. All right, now you're going to see there, he can fake or go either way. Here he decides to go. He's got plenty of room going to the baseline, draws a foul. Pullen's just had that one possession. Actually two, I guess, where I thought he's a little bit out of sync with everybody. Other than that, he's worked to get open.
Samuel steps out. Latavius Irving seeing some action, deflected by Markieff. And out of bounds.
I think we'll see the ball in Spradling's hand some because he's very good with it. He sees the floor extremely well.
Pump fake. Now firing and drew the foul.
Now,
just what you would have taught him.
Hey, I'm going to stand and clap on that move because he made a great move to get open. He came off the screen to get open, as we're going to see right here. Watch him come off this baseline screen. There he is. And then he delays it and doesn't take a shot until he knows there's going to be contact. That's one of my favorite plays of the year, Brent, that Pullen made right there. Uno. Dos coming up. We're going to have Dos. Watch this. This will go uno, dos, tres. I know that you're sitting there thinking those are the only 3 Spanish words I know.
I didn't want to say that. I know you know cuatro.
Well, I got uno, dos, tres there.
Oh, 10 points, 11 points, because he got trace, and he gets a break. But I wouldn't let him sit very long the way he's playing tonight.
No, I wouldn't either. Kansas State is playing with a real purpose out here tonight. All those kids are really into what they're doing. They're working with each other. That very good call. Steve Sloan's very good referee. Steve Olson, rather, very good referee. Made a great call right there on an offensive foul.
Look what we've got here. Come on back, everybody. Are you ever mellowing? Holly Rowe, how much love is being handed out in that Kansas huddle right now?
Exactly 0. Bill Self was so mad. He just said, guys, this is a beatdown right now. Have some poise. He cannot believe that they're letting Jacob Pullen beat him by themselves. He also said, you guys have got to quit being so baby-like out there. If you're going to foul, make it count for something. He is so frustrated. 0 Valentine hugs.
You know, one of the things is that to back up what Holly's saying, Kansas just went into a zone on that possession because they weren't able to control things man-to-man.
And Marquis for the fine block on Southwell. And Little is able to get it off Southwell out of bounds. It's only the 3rd time this year that the Jayhawks have been down by double digits. And, of course, they lost that game to Texas in the second half. And here they trail Kansas State 21-11. Magruder replaces Southwell. So Little tried to get it off him, but could not, and it will be walked at basketball. Let me correct myself on that. And it is off Kelly, who tracks it down. Pullen comes free again. Leans in, and he's on the free throw line.
Now, if he makes these 2, that'll be 5 points that Kansas has given up with careless defensive play with Pullen's fakes. Both times he's gone into the defensive man, and that defensive man has closed the gap.
You know, Pullen has scored, Coach, the last 9 points, and then he misfires on 2 free throws.
Well, he's a pretty good free throw shooter to miss both of them. Kansas got to get something going here.
Offensive foul.
I think this, Brent, I think Kansas is a little bit amazed right now at how well Kansas State is playing. I'm not so certain, but what they didn't come over here after they'd beaten them so bad at home in Lawrence, and then think the same thing's going to happen, because this is a much different K-State team than they played against in Lawrence.
Well, Markieff Morris just picked up his 2nd foul on this. And, you know, despite the fact that they've lost a lot of games in the Big 12 this year, when you take a look at the K-State resume overall, it honestly is not that bad. Now, I know everybody's saying, hold on, they're only 4-6, and I agree with that. But they have done some very good things in non-conference games. They have played some tough teams. I know they lost to Duke, for example, back in December. They have not beaten the top 50 teams, however. That's why tonight is so critical for them.
Well, I don't think they have played with the kind of patience they've had tonight. I don't think they've played to their strengths. I think this is the best that I think I've seen Pullen play, with the exception of 1 or 2 times when he got carried away with things. As long as he fits in with his shooting and gets the ball to people, then he's a real threat out there. But when he starts pounding it on the floor and trying to create things going to the bucket, it hurts him.
Exactly. Well, they're making sure that it's Markieff Morris. When Higgins came over, he threw up the 2 and the 1, and that will be the 2nd foul. So he's looking at 21, and then he walked over and he went 2-1. There was no question about that. But now they're double checking to make sure.
think that's a really good thing when an official makes a call and then he's not quite sure of it, to just say, wait a minute, let's make sure we get this right. I think that's always a sign of a good official.
And they didn't question that was Markeith, you know, on that. If that's the foul that John called, seemed a little doubt in my mind. Was it a flagrant up in the neck area? They're going to call it intentional is what they're going to do. They weren't looking at the person. They were looking at whether or not it was intentional. He's showing Bill that the elbow came up.
And they call it an intentional foul in the end.
So two-shot foul, and they'll get the ball. Well, you heard Holly report that if you're going to make a foul, get all of it. And they did.
Well, you know, like I mentioned, I always appreciate the officials looking at something a second time if there's any question at all. I think that's a mark of a good crew.
Well, each of the Morrises now with 2 fouls, Holly, so they're in a little bit of trouble here early.
Well, guys, this has actually been a little bit of a problem creeping up for the Morris twins throughout the course of this season. Marquez was ejected in a game at Cal for this elbow rule, and he was pulled out of the starting lineup for 2 games. He also got a technical at Nebraska, and then Markeith, this is his second flagrant. He had a flagrant last week against Missouri. He's also had a technical. So coach has been talking to them about their temper, just playing a little bit more within themselves. This is something they've definitely had issues with this season.
This is a kind of situation when you look back on it, if things stay like they are, Brent, you always, when you're like Kansas, you would rather play a good opponent away from home in the first game and then have them come back to you in the second game. Now, what Pullen did there was, instead of looking for himself, he made a great pass to the baseline, and it resulted in 2 free throws. I think Samuels is shooting the free throws, and 2 free throws instead of a shot. Again, Pullen makes a play that's team-oriented.
Well, Pullen has scored the last 11 Kansas State points. So that puts him up there, and now Samuel snaps that streak.
But you know, Pullen scored those points being a part of team play also. And rather than in a situation where he was trying to do so many things for himself with the ball, that makes a huge difference in this team.
So the Jayhawks now with the largest deficit they've faced this season.
Kansas State doing a very good job of pressuring the perimeter. They're not giving those perimeter players a lot to look at from out there. And there, K-State, the first time they hadn't helped on a drive.
And Reed drives through for a big hoop for the Jayhawks. And backs it down.
You just can't let a postman bounce the ball twice in the lane. Whiffy needed some help in there, and he didn't get it. If you're going to give up 2 bounces to a postman, he's going to have a good chance to score.
Turned it over on the dribble.
See, that's where Pullen hurts this team. He gets carried away with the basketball, and he tries to do too much with the ball. Now, he's done such a great job of getting Kansas State almost single-handedly into the position they're in, and I hate to see him make a play like that.
The runner by Taylor. So, and he gets a chance now to add a free throw.
You know, we've talked before, Brent, when somebody starts a drive out on the perimeter, he's moving toward the bucket, that's when the help has to move. And on this situation, K-State was late getting there, and instead of stopping the drive, they gave up the foul.
Bradley replaces Irving.
I think with Spradley in the game, they've got a chance of letting Pullen move without the ball a lot. Now maybe that's looks like they're going to try to do it a little bit here.
Floater on the money.
Now that was not just a reckless move on Pullen's part. He gauged that, he's held up the dribble, and then he saw a move and took it.
Marcus can't finish. Jacob Pullen coming up over the top now. Great hustle by Jacob Pullen at this end as he comes up over. Now watch him as he comes flying toward the table. And it, fortunately, was not, he's not at all injured. He collided with a stats monitor over here, a computer. And then he got up and he apologized.
And then, you know, he's going to get 2 points out of his hustle. Now, this is the Pullen plan that I think we expected to see all year long. And this kid playing this way is an awfully good guard.
He's one of the best players in the conference when he plays like this.
All right, we're going to get a little look at Pullen right here when he uses really good judgment on the drive. He's got the ball on the dribble. Now he sees the opening. He backs off. It's closed. And now he takes it all the way to the bucket. And he pulls up without trying to challenge those big men as he goes to the basket. That little 8-foot jump shot is a great asset to a guard driving to the bucket.
Wednesday night, ACC at 7 Eastern. Duke, number 5 against Virginia. And then at 9, Oklahoma State will play number 2, Texas. It's interesting some of the different things that being tried by ESPN. I mentioned earlier tonight that if you've got high definition, you can watch ISO shots on our 2 coaches. Nolan Smith is going to be isolated in that Duke game that I mentioned. And tomorrow night, a referee is going to wear a microphone at the Michigan State-Ohio State game, and you will have access to that. So some special and unique perspectives being offered up by the family of networks this week, and we'll see how that turns out. Can you imagine a referee wearing a microphone?
No, I really can't. I'd rather they just didn't have. See, I don't like that because that referee is going to pay attention to what he's saying. He's going to think about saying the right thing. I think that's a mistake to allow that to happen. Just let him concentrate on the game.
You're old school.
I don't want him. He's got a whistle. Let him concentrate on that. Morris makes a great move here by utilizing the baseline, and Kansas State again did not take away that baseline. When there's a drive being made, defensive man, get your foot on the baseline, and he can't go anywhere because the baseline is the best defender in basketball. Pullen gets in the mix now. He's not out there handling the ball. How good is that? Sets it up, brings it back out.
Cross court 3, rims out. Little with the left hand.
We talked about Little, and you talked about him a lot the last time we had Kansas, and he's a very, very effective postman. He made a great fake to his left shoulder, came back to his right shoulder.
Yeah, because he had that career-high 17 points in 16 minutes last Monday against Missouri back in Lawrence. got a couple field goals here tonight. Coming inside of 8 minutes. Kelly puts it down, spins on Marcus. Samuel's going for the rebound, and the foul is on Kansas State. So we will take a break, and when we come back, Bob Knight is going to tell you what's been bothering the Jayhawks tonight. All right, Reese, and here Kansas State leads Kansas by 10, and once they're up by 14, Bob, give us the big view of what's happened to the Jayhawks.
Well, you know, I attribute this to human nature. You know, you won a game easily at Lawrence. You think you're going to have maybe the same thing when you come back and play at Kansas State. You're just not alert to the fact that, hey, things can change. This team plays a little differently. They're going to be much tougher to play against, and I think that's been the problem. I don't think they were as mentally ready to play here as they were in Lawrence.
They can cut it to single digits here.
Human nature is a terrible opponent.
And it is that. Taylor misses. Defensive rundown, and here comes Pullen bringing it back.
And you know, it's very tough. I don't care how many timeouts you take or what you do at the halftime. Getting their focus changed back to what it's got to be to win a game like this is a very difficult coaching maneuver.
Curtis Kelly just picked up his second personal foul, so an empty trip, and that could help the Jayhawks here with 6.5 minutes to go in the first half.
Brent, a great recruiting question to ask. If I were recruiting you, I'm going to say, are you subject to human nature? And if you say no, I said, well, I want you playing for me. Kansas State's defense has been as effective as its offense.
Reed, nice baseline jumper. He's hit both of his field goal attempts here tonight, and now it's down to single digits again. Remember, it was once 14 at the 8:36 mark, and now at the 6:01 mark, it is 8. And now Frank is starting to get a little riled up. You think?
These 6 minutes right here may be the defining 6 minutes in the season for the Kansas State Wildcats. See if they've done well. They've built a lead. Now, can they sustain this play? Can they keep the lead? Can they increase it? This will be a very, very important 6 minutes for Kansas State.
And Holly, what was frustrating Coach Martin?
Well, guys, that's exactly something they went over in their scouting today. That's something they talked about over and over and over. He could have said it 100 times talking about pressuring the ball, and Tyrell Reed just made a nice little move to get wide open there. He was so frustrated because that's exactly what they covered.
Enriquez Roberts comes out high and pulling on a drive on the left hand.
Reed had to come off that immediately. As soon as Pullen put the ball on the floor, Reed had to slide over, and by not doing that, he gave him the move all the way to the bucket. Again, Pullen saw the opening, and that wasn't a dribble move. That was just a hard move to the bucket.
19 for Pullen. Over the top, and Marcus finishes with authority.
Well, the big kids for K-State have got to keep the ball from going over top of him. When that kid steps out high, let him go out and stay behind him. Don't give away that lob pass.
They have got to track Jacob Pullen. He is carrying the scoring load here for K-State. Up over the top, the three on the money. He's on fire. By far the best we've seen him play this year, Coach.
No question about it.
Now they turn it over, the Jayhawks do.
All right, we're going to see the drive right here. He sees an opening. Now, right there is where he usually gets into trouble. But there he had a chance to take it all the way to the bucket. He gets set. He's got a lot of confidence in his shot because that's the third shot he's hit from outside like that. And I think 4 attempts.
Bob, his season high is 26. He has 22, Jacob Pullen does, in the first half. Shades of Jordan Taylor. Knocked out of bounds this time, and so it will be Wildcat ball with 18 on the shot clock. If you did not see Wisconsin's second half performance, it is worth going to ESPN3 and dial it up and take a look at it. I thought it was the best individual performance of the season that I've watched. I have not seen them all, but that was absolutely magnificent.
Kansas State's got to go back to a little high-low. You know, they just got the one postman, Enrique Roberts, in there right now.
He had an open look on that shot now. Battle low block, and so Reed comes in and one. I don't know if the official made the call.
Yeah,
yes, counted.
Yep.
Absolutely. I was going to say for a minute, I didn't know that Steve knew whether or not the ball had gone in the basket.
This is a really tough bucket here that Reed gets. Now, the postman gets hung up on the offensive postman. There's good help, and the foul should have taken away the shot, but it didn't. Reed was strong enough to force it up through the foul, and so here he is with the three chance.
Tyrell Reed helping to lead the Jayhawks back in this game slowly. Magruder's three. Marcus Morris had great rebounding position. Tyrell Reed has been a ringleader of this comeback, and Marcus a little short on that three ball.
I think the Jayhawks would far rather Morris did something from inside than out.
Enriquez Roberts from Jacob Pullen.
And you know what a great pass that was by Pullen. He was looking all the way to the bucket for a chance to drop it off.
Johnson nails a big three for the Jayhawks. They're back to 8.
That was a huge basket for Kansas right there.
Stolen by Reed. They've got numbers. They got 3-on-1, and Marcus has to track it down. They lose the advantage. They had a great break, and they could not convert it. Valentine's Day. All right, Reese, thank you very much. And here it's 37-29. The Wildcats have played perhaps their best half of the season. Certainly Jacob Pullen has been their star. Inside of that 3-minute mark.
I like the way they are using Spradling now to bring the ball in and let Pullen play without the ball. He's so quick that he gets a little two-step break on the defender, and then something good is going to happen. Spradling will break out. Now he gives it back.
And they trap Pullen. So he gets it inside.
Checking in for Kansas by number 21, Jordan Enriquez Roberts. And number 12, Nick Russell.
Not sure I saw what happened there.
It was... That was the count of 3 seconds.
That's what I meant. I'm not sure I saw what happened. Now K-State's in the zone.
Run back, and a beautiful follow-up by Travis Relaford, his first shot of the night. And he has made this a 6-point game. Remember, they were down by 14 now, and the #1 team slowly coming back.
You talked about that when they had that 14-point lead. You know, the greatest zone coach of all was Claire B. And I used to argue with him, Coach, how do you block out in the zone? And I never got a satisfactory answer on it. And he's the smartest guy I ever saw in basketball. And right there was an example. K-State got a rebound bucket against the zone.
Now traveling. So Kansas State has turned it over 2 times. Well, Frank is not happy with Higgins. 3-second violation and in traveling.
Well, that was a traveling call. There's no question about that. And that, again, is Pullen doing something that wasn't there. He's been so good, so many possessions, but then one like that just takes away an opportunity for him to score.
And the Jayhawks give it right back with a horrible pass. Jordy Nelson is sitting over here, and that pass, I think, was intended for him. Jordy, of course, Kansas State hero, playing with the Green Bay Packers. Had a huge night, scored the first touchdown for the Packers, and Bill Snyder was his coach here at Kansas State. He's here tonight. Bill Snyder is the coach who switched him from defensive back to wide receiver, and the Packers want to send their thanks for that. 6-point game now. Jacob Pullen with the ball. It's Magruder.
Pullen just kept the dribble alive there so he could make the pass when the screen was set, and Magruder came off of it on the other side. Now, that was real smart by Pullen.
Rutherford off the iron. Here comes Pullen now. Got a one-on-one. Going to try to come through, and he's fouled.
We're going to see Pullen really have patience right here. He waited till the screen was set and then fed the shooter. Good bucket there. Now here, it's a breakaway. It's a conversion play. And that's when you can take the ball all the way to the bucket, because there's a very high percentage chance in converting to offense that you're going to draw a foul if you take it to the bucket.
Rebs back out again tomorrow night, of course. We've got SEC, Kentucky. And aren't they happy to be going back home? Can't win on the road in the SEC, but they host Mississippi State. And the Buckeyes will host Michigan State. Another team, that would be the Spartans, looking for redemption, and they'll get an opportunity tomorrow night in Columbus against an angry bunch of Buckeyes. 23 points for Jacob Pullen. Reed lost it underneath. Maintain control.
K-State did a good job covering the baseline that time. Reed had what looked like a chance to go, and K-State shut it out. They were lucky that they got the ball back on that play.
Josh Selby back on the floor for the Jayhawks. And a foul is going to be called down on the inside, and it is against Kansas State's Rodney Magruder. Watch the right side.
All right. A little bit of hand action coming across the lane there, and sometimes that just can't be helped. Well, it's an interesting spot to put Selby in the game, Brett. He hasn't played for a couple weeks, and now putting him in the middle of something like this is that's interesting.
The man of the half, Jacob Pullen. Roberts makes it a 9.
Made a great move right there. Caught it, spun, and shot right away. Very quick. He was quicker with the offense than the defense was on him.
Selby misfires on the 3. So the Wildcats are going to take a lead into the locker room. Largest halftime deficit this season as they give up the most points in the first half, 42, trail it by 9. So let's go to Holly Rowe with Coach Self.
Coach Self is getting an explanation on that foul to the face. But, Coach, how would you describe the way your team has come out in this first half?
Oh, we were awful. they were good. You know, Jacob killed us, and their bigs killed our bigs, but we were awful, no poise, and we're fortunate we're only down 9.
How do you change defense on Jacob Pullen to limit his effectiveness?
Well, I thought our guards were better defensively than what they've shown, and we'll find out if anybody can guard this half.
Thanks, Coach.
All right, Holly, he has put up 23, Jacob Pullen has. And beyond a shadow of a doubt, he's turned in his best half of the season. Now let's join Reese Davis, Digger Phelps, and Hubert Davis, the UPS halftime report.